I'm Aaron Puckett, the DCC guy. If you want your locomotives to sound like this, then stick around for the rest of the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this installation project. What I want to do today is show you how to use one of these Decoder Buddy minis, and I talked about these in my previous video on the Decoder Buddy's circuit boards. So what I wanted to do today is show you how to use one of these. Now let me point out that I did this installation for the September 2020 issue of Model Railroader. So if you take a look there, you can see in the photographs and in my description of how I did it. But what I want to do now is take you through it step by step in a video and give you an idea of exactly how to do this. Now, in preparation, let me point out that I have gone ahead and I've pre-tinned and pre-cut a lot of wires just so that everything will go a little bit quicker and we won't spend an hour doing this here. So what I want to do first, though, is give you an idea. This model was produced back around 1998 by Kato, and it's a very, very efficient. They improved on the design of the Atlas RS3 and Atlas RS11s, and you know, it really runs great. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the best running models that I've diesels anyway, that I've owned, and you know, it runs great after 20 years without any, you know, problems at all. So it's got a cast metal chassis that is very, very heavy, and the board here sits on top of the motor and has a built-in 8-pin socket. And these locomotives, they were produced in the RS2 version and the RSC2 version. Now, the RSC had 6 axles instead of 4, so it kind of spread the weight over a little bit greater distance. And a number of railroads ran those, nowhere near as many as had the RS2s. So let's go ahead and take a look at how you get this board off. So the first thing you want to do, and you know, if you just want to use a mobile decoder, there are tons of these types of decoders available that will just plug in and you're ready to go. But what I want to do is show you how to add sound to this locomotive. So let me take these two little screws on top, come out first, and I'm going to set those aside, although I probably will never use this again. The other thing that holds things in place, there's this little black plastic clip right here on top, and I'm going to just pop that off. And it's fairly easy to get off. It's just got a little clip along the top there that holds it. And then once that's off, just lift up on these little bronze contacts that come up from the motor brushes. Ah, that one's already out. Okay. So once those are straightened, then this circuit board should lift right off. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that aside. I doubt I'll ever use it for anything. Okay, now that we have the motor contacts freed, we need to cut those back a little bit so that they're not in the way of the Decoder Buddy board. So I'm just going to snip those off with my wire cutters, or track cutters here, and bend that one down a little bit more, like so. And when we're done, the Decoder Buddy is going to fit in here. Now, I think I'm going to want that down just a little bit lower than that. So let's take a look. That one's not bad, actually. But I'm going to snip it just a little bit closer. And this one here, I'm going to bend down. Like so. Now the next step is to determine which direction you want to be forward. Now on the Southern Railway, the long hood was forward, and this is the long hood end. Okay. Now, how do you know which way your motor is going to go? Well, the NMRA specifies that when a locomotive is placed on a piece of track and it has a positive potential on the right-hand rail, then it will move in the forward direction. So if we go ahead and apply a current to this using a 9-volt battery, you can see that if I touch those, it's going to go forward. Okay, so that means red is positive, black is negative, and that's the order that I had that. Okay, so if I go like this, it's going to try to go forward. Okay, and again, I'm just using a standard 9-volt battery with a clip-on harness. Okay, very easy way to tell polarity on your motors. Now, what we want to do then is go ahead and solder the leads to the motor. And I've already marked this contact here with a red magic marker, so I'll never forget that that is the positive motor lead. Okay, I'm going to pre-tin those. Okay, we got that tinned. So now I'm going to add an orange wire to the positive side. Like so. We'll add the gray wire to the negative side. Okay, so that's got that taken care of. So we got our wires. Now I do want to add a piece of heat shrink tubing to each side to protect the I don't think I need it on that side at all. So let me go ahead. Let's see how that's going to work. We'll just slide it down over top of the wire, the orange wire, and down over our contact here. Now we can heat shrink it. Okay, so that's safe now. Okay, the next thing we have to do then is mount our Decoder Buddy. Now on the Decoder Buddy, the pin end is forward. Okay, and it's marked with an AOF here, that's auxiliary function 0. And the forward direction, this one back here is marked reverse, or R. So that's how you know. Now the problem, I want this to sit on top of the motor. I don't want it sitting up high like this, because there's not a lot of overhead room. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to snip these off. These are the mounting blocks for my for the screws for the old motherboard. So I'm just going to cut those off of there, get them out of the way. Okay, there. So we got that taken care of. And we'll take a knife blade and smooth that down just a little bit more. There we go. Now, this is the Decoder Buddy I'm going to use here. We're going to put it right there, so it's going to fit exactly on top of the motor. Everything's going to be out of the way. Okay, so let's go ahead and measure it out. Some of the double-sided foam tape that I use, like so, out to there, and we'll cut that. Okay, so I'm going to set that on there real good and firm now. And we'll do a peel and stick real quick here. Make sure we get it centered before I press it into place. A little bit further. Okay, there. Okay, so there it's good and tight on the motor now. And I've been using this double-sided foam tape probably for 25 years for decoder installations, and I've never had any problems. So, you know, I still recommend the process or the material. Okay, let's take a look here. So we've got it pretty clean there. Let's go ahead and make our connections between to the motor. Now, if you remember, I said don't throw away the instructions. And the reason for that is, if you look right on here, and I'll zoom in just a little bit here, it says motor 1 and motor 2. It doesn't tell you which is plus or negative because, you know, you don't know until you decide which way to hook up the motor. So what I need to do is bring over that piece of paper that came with it, and we'll take a look. If I look at it my way, this should be orange, M1, and this should be gray, M2. So we'll start with the gray one since it's on this side, and we'll bring it down. Of course, that's the long wire. And I'm going to snip a piece of that to free it up. Okay. And we'll get that pre-tinned, and let's pre-tin both of these. Okay, we got those pre-tinned. Okay. So that way we've got the gray wire in place now. I'm just going to tuck it under here. So now we'll bring the orange wire over. I'm going to just bring it underneath the front of the board like this so that it's right there. And I'm going to snip just a little bit of it off. And then I need to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so now I've got the wire there. Let's pre-tin it. Okay. Bring it back under here again. And it's ready to be soldered on. Okay. So now we've got the motor connected. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is add track power pickups. So this is my right rail here, and this will be my left rail on this side. And basically how this works is the track power is picked up by the wheels here, and it's transmitted through a small slider or wiper on the top of the truck. And it contacts the bottom of this bronze rail here that runs the length of the, almost the length of the chassis. And so all I need to do is connect a wire to the top of each one of these and feed them up to the track power pickup on the decoder itself. So I've already prepared these, and what I need to do next is just go ahead and hit the top of this very quickly and carefully with a drop of solder to pre-tin it. Okay, there's one. And I've got another one on this side. Now on this model, you have to be careful not to overheat it because underneath of this bronze strip, there is a plastic insulator that prevents the chassis from becoming electrified. So that's ready now for the wires to be attached. And I've already pre-tinned a wire here. So let me put a little bend in it. So it's going to sit flat. And then we can go ahead and attach it on this side anyway. I'm going to cut it back just a touch. Okay. And there it is. So I'm just going to touch it right to the little drop of solder there. Like so. Okay. And I'll repeat that on this side. Let me go ahead and bend it also. Okay. And shorten that just a touch. Okay, so I've got it bent at a slight, at a 90-degree angle there. So it's going to sit flat on that bronze strip. And we're going to touch it right to it. Like so. Okay, now bend that in so that they're out of the way and won't interfere with the shell. Okay, so now that we've got the wires attached, let's go ahead and connect them to the Decoder Buddy board. Now, as far as I know, and I've never had a problem with this, you only need to attach one set of pickups because they're going to feed both trucks here. Okay, so I just go ahead and attach it to each side here at only one point. Because I really don't need to also attach it up here because, it's a single feed from both trucks. So we'll bring it back around here like this and add the right rail and the left rail. There we go. Okay, so now we have power to the motor, power to the trucks. What's next? Okay, the next thing I want to do on this particular locomotive is add the headlights. So we got one at each end since it's an RS unit. And I've already prepared one of my little surface mount LEDs that I've been using a lot in recent installations. And I've bent this leg here so that I know it's positive. So let's go ahead and attach these at each end. I'm going to turn this one. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're both the same length. Okay, so let me go ahead and pre-tin the contacts here for that. Okay, those are pre-tin, so now we can make we can add the leads from the LEDs. Okay, and so positive here goes to my U+. There's that one. Now let's turn it the other way. And we can add those as well. So my U+ here, I've already got ready to go. Okay, and now forward, reverse. Okay, so we've got both of the headlights ready. Now let me point out how these work. In this particular locomotive, you can see down in here that there is a clear, if I can get it right perfect here, okay, right there. There is a clear plastic lens, and fortunately it has a recess. So it's perfect. I can go ahead and insert the LED into that little recess, and I have some of this Uhu Tech Pro Power putty, and it's great for sticking in stuff like this, and I'll be using it a couple of times in this installation. So this Uhu putty, it's very straightforward. You just open it up and pull off a piece of it like so, and it lasts a long time, let me tell you. Put that away, and it's ready to go. So all I'm going to need to do is take just a little pinch of that and make a little ball, and once I install the LED inside of the headlight casting, I'll just put that in behind it, and it's going to hold it in place. So let me set that aside until we need it. About the only thing left to worry about is the speaker. So let me go ahead and show you that. Okay, so basically then, I've already attached wires to the speaker, and this is one of those speakers enclosures that are designed and sold by Streamline Backshop, and it fits inside the curvature of the cab roof. So all I need to do is peel off my foam tape. I'm going to take this screwdriver head, since it's magnetic, and we're going to set this in here, like so. Okay, so I've gone ahead and maneuvered that into place. So let's go ahead and stick it in firmly. I'm just give it a couple of firm pinches here, and that's going to hold it in place. And you know, you really can't see that. He's been using the black material lately, and it really helps to hide it quite nicely. Now, after that, it's a matter of, in this particular model, getting things set up so that you can't see the wires. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to bring this back over here, because there's a cab insert that goes in that I need to properly adjust here. Okay, so I've already got my little crewman installed, and I want him facing forward, which is this direction. And then this insert drops down in here, and I have to work it in because there's a couple of prongs that fit against the side of the cab and hold this in place. Like that, and we got this one to go in, like that. So once that's in, we have our cab and our little crewman in there, and we're ready to install that on the shell. Okay. So let's bring that over, and we want that set up with the horns facing forward, which is the long hood end, as I said. Get this fed through here. Okay. And we're going to ease that down, because if you don't, you'll scratch the paint. There, that's in position now. Okay, so now we have the beaker in the cab, and you know, you cannot see it from the side, really. And once I add cab shades, sunshades to this, you won't see it at all, I guarantee it. Okay, with that, we've got basically everything ready to go together. I'm going to go ahead and snip these wires here, both the same length, and go ahead and prepare this one so that we can connect those to the track, or to the board, excuse me. Okay, the two speaker wires are attached to the buddy board right here. They're marked SP, and it doesn't matter which one. They're not polarity sensitive. And I'm going to go ahead and pre-tin those, like so. While I'm over here, I'm also going to pre-tin these two contacts for the Keep Alive. We'll go to that in a minute. Okay, so now we can go ahead and make the speaker connections. Like so. And like this. Okay, so in the future when I get ready to put everything together, I'm going to just fold these wires up so that they will fit in here properly. Okay, so we got lights, we got the speaker. Now I mentioned that we could go ahead and add a connection for a Keep Alive. Now there are several options for fitting a Keep Alive into this, and I'll show you the shell again. I don't want to take out this big long weight, okay? I've already removed the small weight that came out of this end. And I'm going to sacrifice that small amount of weight in order to find a place to put a Keep Alive because it's not going to fit anywhere else in here, okay? So you have a few options for fitting something in here. For example, there's the TCS KA4. That will drop right down in here, like so. Or the even smaller, the KA1 and KA2s, they will easily slide down in here. No problem. However, I'm going to show you a secret. If you've ever bought a TCS decoder, and this is what I'm doing a TCS decoder installation here. If you don't buy a TCS decoder with a Keep Alive, you can get them with this 470 microfarad 25 volt capacitor. And these boards, the boards that I'm going to be using here in a minute, they come with pretty good capacitors on board. So you really don't need a lot of extra. And I have found that I can get away, on my layout anyway, with using these 470 microfarad 25 volt capacitors instead of a Keep Alive. Now, if you find that your track are not as clean as mine and you haven't wired all of your, or you haven't provided power to all of your frogs, then you might want to think about using one of these KA1s or KA2s or the KA4s so that you can get real Keep Alive power. Okay, this one, it'll keep it from cutting out when it's going over dirty track, that kind of thing. It will not do it, I don't think, on unpowered frogs, because all of my frogs are powered, so it manages. The others I've got like this, I've had no problem with at all. So that's my little tip to you for the day. So what we need to do then is attach the Keep Alive wires to those contacts that I just tinned. So if you remember, in DCC, the blue wire goes to the positive, right like that. And then we're going to have a negative to the ground, and I'm going to clip that back just a little bit because it's a touch too low to go where it is. Okay. And then I'm going to pre-tin that wire. Okay. To tin it, the wire shrank back a little bit from the heat, and we're going to bend that so that it fits in against the soldering contact on the board quite easily. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make this connection for the ground. And I'll remind you that on these capacitors, they're marked on the side here. There's your negative contact. So you want your negative wire, the black wire, attached to that leg right there coming out. And then on this side, you want your positive blue wire. Okay. Now that is going to just sit right down inside of the shell once I get ready. Okay, so we'll pull that down that way. Now, at this point, we've got everything almost ready to go. So let me get out the decoder. Okay, so at this point, I'm ready to put my decoder in place. So you see there's a missing pin right here, and then there's a blank spot here on the socket, and that fits right over there. And everything kind of slides down into place. Slides right into place there. Okay, so that's all it takes to get this decoder installed in this locomotive. Once you've got the board in here, it's a simple plug it in type of operation. So let me go ahead and finish doing the rest of this. Now that we've got the wires installed, I can go ahead and use a bit of this Uhu to tack this capacitor into the shell. Tell you what, I'm going to put a big wad of it underneath of it and push it down in there like this. Okay, and then I'll take another piece and put it on the other side, and we'll move it into place. So all this is going to hold this capacitor down in here, hopefully, without any problem. Let's put another piece on this end. Okay, so now that guy's firmly in place, and that wire is just going to come right up through that area here that used to be there for the LED leads on the headlight. Okay, so I've got a little wad of Uhu putty right on the end of my screwdriver, and I'm going to insert this LED. Let me give it a little bend a little bit first. Okay. And slide it into the opening in the headlight casting, and then we'll drop that Uhu putty in there, like so. And that's going to keep that headlight, that LED, from pulling out of there. Okay, so that's going to run down through, everything's going to run down through that slot that I've shown you. Okay. I'm going to run that one there. Okay, so now I've got my other headlight casting at the other end. Okay, so I've got my little wad of Uhu putty, got my headlight in there. Let's shove it into place. Just like that. Okay, so at this point, we now have all of our wires ready to go. We have everything in its place, and I'm going to go ahead and fold everything in here and snap the body on, and we'll give it a test drive. Okay, let's take a look then, or listen to what this locomotive sounds like out here on the rails. So let's take a listen to the horn. And we need to turn that bell on. Notice the auto dimming on the headlight. When it goes into reverse, it automatically dims, and when it goes forward, it's going to brighten up again, as you can see there. So give this a try for your next Alco installation. They really make a nice growling sound.